everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brianna and I'm a vegan baker, cake decorator, and the owner of a custom cake business based in Toronto called Brie Sweets. So today I want to talk to you about how I got started with an online bakery business during the pandemic. I started in April 2020 and I first started selling vegan baked donuts, and eventually my business grew to a vegan custom cake and cupcake business. So if you want to learn how I started my business and my top tips, then continue watching. So before I get started, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button for more videos like this and click that notification bell to get notified every time I post a video. So I'm basically going to tell you guys my story of how I started selling vegan baked donuts in Toronto and how my business grew from that all the way to a custom cake business, and how I decided to really focus on custom cakes and cupcakes and my journey and my process through that whole thing. I'm also going to give you guys my top 3 tips on how to get started with your own online bakery business. So stay tuned for the end for those tips, and let's jump into my story. So a little background before we get started. I went to school for baking and pastry arts management for about 2 years, and I graduated in April 2020, just after the pandemic hit. So I first got started selling French macarons to friends and family at the beginning of 2020 when I was still in school. They were not vegan at the time. I wasn't fully vegan, so I was experimenting with different things. So in April 2020, I graduated from school, and at that time I was working at a small vegan bakery in Toronto. And around the same time, I also got laid off due to COVID, as they couldn't keep as many staff as they would have been able to if there wasn't a pandemic. You know, a lot of places were laying off people, and I was one of them, unfortunately. So I was trying to decide what to do. I was thinking, should I look for another job? Should I start something of my own? You know, what do I do? So I decided to bake and sell vegan baked donuts. So they're a little different from your traditional donuts. They're baked instead of fried, and they have more of a cakey texture than traditional donuts. I decided that I wanted to sell them because no one in my area was really doing anything like that. Especially at that time, early 2020, a lot of people weren't doing vegan baked goods delivered right to your door. So I got started recipe testing. I tested a couple different recipes for basic flavors like vanilla, chocolate, Oreo, carrot cake, and I think there were a couple other flavors that I did. So I basically got the base recipes, I took pictures of them, I posted on social media that, hey, I'm selling vegan baked donuts if anyone's interested. These are the prices, this is what it looks like, message me for details. So I ended up posting that on a couple of different social media platforms. I posted it on a couple different Facebook groups. I posted it on Instagram, on my personal Facebook. The thing that really got traction was the Toronto Vegans Facebook group. So I posted on there and a lot of people were interested. I started getting messages almost immediately of people being interested. They were like, hey, I saw you do baked vegan donuts. Can I have some? So I was actually kind of surprised by the amount of attention that it was getting and the amount of people who wanted to try my donuts. So exciting, because this was kind of the first time that I was doing anything like this. So I figured out the flavors, the pricing, the delivery schedule, all as I went. To be honest, I didn't do too much research before I got started. I actually, looking back, priced my donuts pretty low. After taking orders, I baked the donuts, I packaged them, I sold them, I went and delivered them to people. And for a couple weeks straight, it was kind of crazy with constant orders. I would probably be delivering at least 5 orders a day. When I first got started, there were many nights where I stayed up really late baking and decorating and packaging donuts for delivery the next day. It was all me baking. I am the only baker in my house. My sister was helping me bake a little bit, and my mom was helping me package, and my dad was the delivery driver and still is to this day, and I can't thank him enough. He's been so much help to my business and still is. So thank you, Dad, if you're watching. You're amazing. Eventually, after a couple weeks of doing just donuts, I got a couple messages from people asking me if I did custom cakes, if I was doing anything for Mother's Day, since that was right around the corner. So around that time, I took 2 Mother's Day cake orders, and to be honest, they were not as great as my cakes look now. I have definitely leveled up as a cake decorator, and I'm so grateful to have that experience of making those cakes for my very first clients. So once the rush of donut orders slowed down, I started doing some recipe testing, and I added a couple different items to my menu. I added brownies and blondies, I added cookies, cinnamon rolls, even dog treats. I also ended up making a website, an Instagram page, and a Facebook page. These are all very, very important to do when you're starting your business, and especially if you want to grow your business. You need a place where people can see your products, the prices, where they can contact you and place an order. So after creating my social media pages and my website, I eventually expanded to almost run a mini bakery from home. So I had so many different items on my menu. I'll show you what my menu used to look like over here. I had everything from baked donuts, cakes and cupcakes, brownies, blondies, squares. I think I had pies, I even had dog treats, cinnamon rolls. I had pretty much everything, and ultimately looking back on it now, that was way too much that I had to offer. So keep in mind that a couple months after I started my business, I actually got a job as a full-time baker somewhere else. I was balancing my business and my full-time job. About a year after I started Brie Sweets and I expanded my menu and I got my Instagram established and I got my website established, I wanted to grow Brie Sweets further and I wanted to expand. I decided that I wanted to sell some of my products as wholesale to local coffee shops and restaurants, and that I also wanted to go on delivery apps like Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, DoorDash, and reach more people that way. But there was just one problem. My kitchen was not health inspected, and you need a commercial health inspected kitchen if you want to sell your products on delivery apps and if you want to sell them to any other businesses. So getting the kitchen in my apartment health inspected was not an option because I live here, I work here, I do everything here, and it's just too small. I decided that I wanted to run a commercial kitchen. I would work there a couple days a week and bake everything there, produce everything there, and pretty much transfer everything from my home bakery to a commercial kitchen. There were a lot of mistakes that I made at this point in my business, and a lot of learning opportunities. I'm gonna share them with you guys so that you don't make the same mistakes that I did. So renting a commercial kitchen, as you will probably expect, is quite expensive. You need to make sure that you are making enough to cover rent, to cover the ingredients you're gonna buy, probably in bulk, to cover the packaging, the cost of supplies, if you have any employees. And you need to make sure that you're making enough profit from your business already and that you're ready to make the next step. I honestly didn't really think of how much of a big decision this would be, and this is where I went wrong. So from the start, I wasn't making enough to actually cover the cost of everything I just mentioned. I was planning to go into it doing wholesale and getting on delivery apps and making my money back that way. I went into it really excited, as you know, this would be the next big step for Brie Sweets. I'm getting a commercial kitchen, I'm gonna be on delivery apps, I'm gonna be doing wholesale. People are gonna know who I am and what my brand is, and I'm gonna get to share my vegan desserts with so many more people. I started renting a commercial kitchen, and I remember the very first night after I went to see the kitchen and brought all my supplies in, my family and I went grocery shopping, and our cart was so full of ingredients. It was filled to the top. So after getting established at the kitchen, I ended up getting started with a few food delivery apps. I was on Skip the Dishes and DoorDash. If you're wondering what it's like to be on delivery apps, I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. Their customer service is not the greatest. They took quite a while to get back to me after I inquired about getting on their platforms, and it's honestly quite hard for a small business, especially if you don't have a storefront, to get started on these delivery apps. And to be honest, the orders weren't coming in as expected. I kind of thought that, you don't really see vegan desserts on delivery apps, do you? So I thought that I would be getting quite a few orders every night, but that was not the case. So since I had such a large menu and I was on these delivery platforms every day that I was in the kitchen, I was in the kitchen about 4 to 5 days a week in the afternoons and evenings. So on those days, I turned on the delivery apps and I had to be ready for any orders that came in. So my menu included cupcakes, donuts, cinnamon rolls, brownies, blondies, cookies, pretty much a condensed version of what my full menu was on my website. So every day I had to go in and make sure that I had everything ready for when a potential order would come in. I had to have everything in order. And keep in mind that I was the only baker. I could not afford to hire anyone else to help me there. My family helped me out a little bit, but they were not bakers, so they couldn't help me out in the baking department, which is where pretty much all of the work happened. And I also started reaching out to potential wholesale clients. I reached out to some coffee shops, some restaurants, even a grocery store. It was a lot of work to do that. To be honest, wholesale was not really worth it for me because you need to sell your products at a considerably lower price than you would sell them at retail so that the clients can mark them up and price them on their menu. And as a small business, it was just not worth it, and to be honest, I would not be making any profit with wholesale. So I decided to scratch that idea, not do wholesale. So keep in mind that I had the job at the bakery as my full-time job and then Brie Sweets in the kitchen on the side. So a typical day during the week would look like me going into the bakery at around 6 a.m., working until probably 12 or 2 p.m., and then going straight to the commercial kitchen to bake and package everything for Brie Sweets. So it ended up being quite a lot for me to do that, and I did end up getting burnt out pretty quickly. It's a lot to take on. I could not handle working at the commercial kitchen and working at the bakery. Something had to give. So after a couple months of doing this, and to be completely honest, making zero profit, I decided to scale back Brie Sweets and continue it as a small business and stop working at the commercial kitchen. I'm currently running Brie Sweets from my home right now and enjoying it and having a much better work-life balance than I did before working at the kitchen. Even though it was a great step for Brie Sweets, and if I had completely 100% committed, it could have definitely worked out, but at that time it just wasn't right for me. If you are considering renting a commercial kitchen or expanding your business, take it from me, don't take that decision lightly. It is a big decision and you need to be 100% sure that that's what you want to do. So after the whole commercial kitchen venture, I really took a step back from Brie Sweets. I took about a month off and really thought about where I wanted to go with the business and what I wanted to do. So eventually I decided to really just double down on what the main best-selling products were from Brie Sweets. So the main best sellers were, as you guess, custom cakes and cupcakes. Not a lot of people do vegan custom cakes and cupcakes. It's really where the profit is, and it's honestly what I love doing. So it turned out it's the best-selling thing, it makes a profit, and it's what I love to do. So best of both worlds. So I ended up taking everything else off the menu. Now I'm just focusing on cakes and cupcakes, and if requested, I'll do things like cinnamon rolls and baked donuts, but mainly just cakes and cupcakes. And it's a lot more efficient, it's a lot more cost effective, it's a lot easier to handle than running a mini bakery from your home. That was fun for a while, but really doubling down on what you love to do and what customers want is definitely the right step. So what does the future of Brie Sweets look like? For now, I'm just gonna keep it small. I'm running Brie Sweets out of my home, and I'm also working a full-time job. So I have my job and then I have Brie Sweets on the side, and honestly, that's what's working for me right now. If any other opportunities come up, I'll definitely look into it. and having the experience and what I've learned from the past will really help me in the future. So to conclude this part of the video, I'm really proud of Brie Sweets and where it's gone and how it's grown, you know, from last year, April 2020 to now. I did not expect my little donut business to become a custom cake business. Going from selling baked donuts on Facebook to having a full website and getting to decorate cakes. I've gained so much knowledge and I've learned a ton about starting your own business, especially starting a home bakery business during the pandemic and how tough that can be. I've learned a lot along the way, and I'm gonna give you guys my top 3 tips on how to start your home bakery business, my little secrets, things that I've learned along the way, and things that I wish I knew before I started. Tip number 1, price accordingly and charge what you're worth. This took me a while to realize. It took me about a year into my business to actually start charging what I was worth. So I thought that people wouldn't want to pay the price for my cakes and my desserts because they were too high. I priced them considerably lower than I should have when I first started. And sure, that might be good in the beginning so that people can try your products and see for themselves if it's really worth it. But honestly, you need to charge what you're worth. You need to do your research on the ingredients, what other people are pricing their items at. Keep in mind that you are charging for your time, your expertise, your skills, the ingredients. Especially for me, I'm charging for high quality vegan ingredients. If you make quality products, people will pay the price, no doubt. And also, don't be afraid of raising your prices slightly as you grow in your business. I started out with my prices quite low, and then over time I raised them little by little as I was gaining experience and as I was learning how to price them properly. For example, in the beginning of Brie Sweets, I was not very skilled at cake decorating. I'll show you some pictures here of what my cakes used to look like and what my cakes look like now. So as you can tell, I have evolved and become a much better cake decorator. And I've also changed out some ingredients and changed out some processes. So along the way, I've raised the prices a little bit to reflect this. So just keep in mind, people will pay the price if you have quality products. Don't be afraid to charge what you're worth. Tip number 2, post often on social media. If you really want to grow your business, you need to be posting at least a couple times a week, if not every single day. I know it might sound like a lot, but you really need to be consistent in how much you're posting. So if you have a food business, you really want to get pictures out there, especially on Instagram, of what your food looks like, of what your desserts look like. You want to take good quality pictures, you know, as best as you can. You don't have to invest in any high quality equipment, any cameras. I just take pictures with my phone, and I'm even filming this video on my phone. So when you're just getting started, you don't really need to invest, but take the time to take pictures and have good lighting as well. That's a really important factor. Good lighting, good food, post almost every day, and you will attract clients. I found that if I wasn't posting at least a couple times a week, I would not get that many orders. When I was posting every day, I would get considerably more orders than I was if I wasn't posting every day. So post frequently on social media and you will see results. And tip number 3, send invoices to your clients. This is a tip that I haven't really seen much on YouTube and something that I've only just started doing now. So when clients place an order, you should send an invoice with the total, with the items that they're ordering, and details of each item with the price. If you do this, clients will be a lot less confused and more likely to pay you straight away, as they know exactly what they're paying for and exactly how much it's going to cost. And you can also outline your payment details. So for me, I accept payments by e-transfer only, and I require a 50% deposit for their order to be confirmed. So it's not a huge thing, but it definitely makes payments and ordering a lot faster and a lot more efficient, and just a lot better for your client to see all the details. For invoices, I would definitely recommend Wave Invoicing, which is what I use. It's a completely free invoicing software with customizable templates, and you can really put in all the details. I will link it down below. So that's it, guys. Those were my top 3 tips for getting started with the home bakery business, and that was my story on how I started a bakery business during the start of the pandemic and where it's gone from there. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more videos like this, and click that notification bell to get notified every time I post a video. Alright guys, and bye for now. I'll see you in the next video.